My wife is pregnant by a one-night stand. So my wife and I have been married for 10 years and have 2 kids together. Today she broke the news that she is pregnant due to a one-night stand and doesn't have any contact info for the father, and she wants to make our marriage work. I don't know how to get over the fact that she cheated on me. Was it truly just a one-time thing or pattern of behavior? My brain has exploded with this info. Even if I could find myself to get over what happened, she's pregnant with another person's child. How do I even begin to deal with this? I'm so lost, so hurt. I feel like I'm spiraling down the rabbit hole. Complete nightmare. First things first, take legal advice and look at all options. If you're on the birth certificate, you'll be liable for a long time, and you know the pain you're experiencing never actually goes. So she meets someone in a bar, gets it on, and doesn't know his details. Very convenient, or just very naive or stupid. Sounds very suspect. Her admission, your gut is screaming about it. Always trust your gut. I suspect divorce is the only option to protect yourself going forward. Potentially you could have some sort of relationship afterwards, but make sure it's on your terms and she knows it. Take legal advice. Prenups, postnups, etc. First, get yourself checked for STDs. Then ask yourself, if it was a one-night stand, then why did she have unprotected sex? Your next step should be to a lawyer and find out your options. This sucks and I'm sorry this has happened to you. Or for the matter, what are the odds of her getting pregnant on Arruz? A paternity test on the other kids might not be a bad idea either. While I agree with your main point, I got pregnant from my son by a one-night stand. Luckily I happened to work with the father, so it wasn't hard to track him down. All that aside, it took one time, one drunken sex encounter later, and I had my son. And according to my OBGYN, that is not very uncommon. So while I agree that the wife ducked up, I would caution using her getting pregnant as ammunition. Caution away. But seriously, you had a one-night stand with someone you knew. That's not exactly a one-night stand. That's you deciding to sleep with a coworker and never doing it again. She has no idea who this person was. She likely has done this before. Both protected maybe at first, and then unprotected. He doesn't know how many other times this has happened, and the likelihood is high that this isn't the first time. What the heck are you talking about telling someone who just was cheated on that you can't use her getting pregnant from a one-night stand as ammunition? Are you duck? I'm joking. This is not a sub you should be on. Please stop giving advice. All I was saying is to stop using the fact that she's pregnant as ammunition. I didn't condone her cheating or anything else behind it, but I think it's a really far leap to go from she's cheating to she purposely got knocked up with somebody else's kid when she didn't know who they were. I think you incredibly overreacted to my comment and need to check yourself. She's lying. She wants to be with you, so she's claiming she has no info, but I'm willing to bet she had an affair, got pregnant and cut the guy off to make things work with you. It's easier to say she does not know who it is. She is lying. No. Just no. Don't do it. No. Divorce. Make it clear that child support is for your children. And make all that happen before she gives birth to another man's baby. I feel bad for the child, but this is something your soon-to-be ex needs to sort out. From what you tell us, her story is utterly ridiculous. While it's possible, it's unlikely that a one-night stand would result in pregnancy. She is hiding a much larger story from you. Everything she says is probably a lie until you get the full truth. I would start the divorce process. Consult a lawyer immediately regarding establishing that the child is not yours. From what you tell us, her story is utterly ridiculous. It is. For different reasons. She could have discreetly terminated as soon as she found out. It is extremely unlikely that a woman who has already carried 2 children would not realize early enough that she was pregnant. She chose to keep the pregnancy. The path of least resistance was to not tell her husband anything, but she did. This means that she expects the child to noticeably not resemble her husband. Those 2 things together tell me that she knows who the father is. It wasn't a one-night stand. She cares for him enough to not abort his baby, and the husband potentially knows him too, and would notice the baby resembling that person. Nope. Don't put yourself through this shit. She cheated on maybe many times and this the first time. She can't get away with this. Until now you doesn't even know she had a row. S and you might. Doesn't even what else she did your whole marriage. PLZ taken standard test and paternity test for your kids. And divorce her before she hook you up on child support for another man's baby. Unprotected sex with her odds. Wow, she's bold and is likely a serial cheater. Like who does that in 2021? To me that indicates that this is a behavior that she's comfortable with. That would be bad enough if she was single, but she put you at risk too. Now she wants you to parent her offspring. You need time to get your head together before you make any decisions. My WH's uncle went through this. He stayed with the mom and raised the child until his own child came of age. Then he divorced her. He really couldn't take the mental anguish that she had brought on with the affair. And the child who he had raised, like he was the father, really fell apart after the father left, so two people in the process were desperately hurt because of the mother's betrayal and because the father tried to do the right thing. It's okay to leave and not mess this child up. Your wife did a terrible thing and now she needs to face the consequences of those actions. But the child shouldn't face it. And for you, it's going to be near impossible not to look at that child and be reminded every day that it is not yours. It will just seal the wounds open permanently. So even if you don't want to leave because you're still questioning if you still love her, do it for the child's sake. She will be better off not having a false father for 10th number of years and you finally caving and saying this can't work. Reconciliation is harder than leaving her. I'm not talking having a rap's baby in the mix and having to raise another man's child, or having a daily physical reminder of your wife's betrayal. Just simple reconciliation. If it is done properly, it is the hardest work you both will ever go through. Now, top off that hardest work you both will ever go through with another man's child, you are going to have to do you. But man, don't ever raise another man's child. I recommend that you get out, that you don't sign the birth certificate, that you get paternity tests on your other two children, STD test, and file for divorce. Reconciliation is hard enough under the best of circumstances. Yours isn't the best of circumstances. Lawyer up now. I second this. Reconciliation is difficult on its own. It takes a completely willing cheater who is willing to do anything and everything, and a completely receptive betrayed partner, and even then it's not guaranteed. Most cheaters won't do anywhere close to what's necessary, thereby guaranteeing a false reconciliation and further pain for the betrayed. Stack on that a daily reminder of the betrayal and I think it's too much. She had unprotected sex with her aunts while you were home with the kids. Of course she wants you to stay. What decent guy wants to make a life with a cheater with 3 small kids? You stay home and be daddy while she's out at the club. Depending on where you are, you may have solid grounds for custody if that's what you want, but I'd make a big production of having the older kid's DNA tested. Her knowing just how little you trust her will take her down a notch or two. Reconciliation is rare and hard. It's hard enough blocking the image of him screwing her, but seeing him in the face of the baby is not fair to you or the baby. Cut your losses, bro. You need to talk to an attorney ASAP. She may recommend a divorce prior to birth and a DNA test to prove the child isn't yours. You do not want to have any kind of legal ties to this child. Obviously there are options. One of them terminating the pregnancy and the other going full term and giving the child up for adoption. Just because your wife got screwed doesn't mean that you should also get screwed. That's like saying I purposefully drove my car into a concrete wall at 100 mph, and even though it's crushed, unrecognizable and on fire, I still want to drive that same car every day. See a doctor. See a lawyer. Make sure your friends and family know before she starts telling them lies about you to make herself look better. Sorry to hear that your wife cheated. This is the worst betrayal ever. Possibly one of the reasons she wants to make this marriage work is she told the guy she cheated with she was pregnant, and he basically done a runner, and it's backfired on her. She doesn't want to be single mother and wants to make the marriage work. What a horrible feeling to find out all this, but you need to really think what's best for you. I personally would seek legal advice and and move out. Take standard test as soon as you can. Obviously try to maintain positive times on best terms for your 2 children. I know it's hard, you are at rock bottom now, but you can climb back up that rabbit hole. I know you can't see it that way now, but in time you will. If you do stay and the child is born, could take the responsibility of raising another man's child and be constantly reminded of what she did, and also the possibility that the father could come back in the child's life. Trust issues and constantly looking at the door when she is going out. If she did once, she can do it again. Yes, you have 2 children, but your love for them will never go. But to stay for the wrong reasons in time will make you bitter and resentment towards the mother, and the kids will pick up on that. Be true to yourself, go and seek therapy and help if need be to get over this, but look after you all the best. 10 years is a lot to throw away, but 18 years of staring infidelity in the eye would probably be worse. I'd say divorce is what's best for you all. Also, demand she be tested for STDs and get tested yourself. Get a divorce attorney and start proceedings now. Make it clear you will not support her one-night stand child. Support your kids, obviously, but try and get custody of them. Let her figure out what to do concerning her new child on her own. I'm guessing that you would have known that you weren't the father the minute the baby arrived. That's why she confessed. Being hit with this sort of news at your stage of life, and given the duration of your marriage, you are lucky to have the presence of mind to find a rabbit hole, let alone spiral down one. Her confession undermines everything that you two have done and accomplished in the past. Your wife is a cheat, and will certainly be a liar. You literally cannot believe anything that she says, or, indeed, anything she has ever said. You need to do the following urgently. Get yourself tested for STDs. Get your children DNA tested. Do not sign or be named on the child's birth certificate. You will be stiffed for child support from now to kingdom come. It's highly likely that your wife has been engaged in this type of behavior for quite some time. There is little to no chance that this will have been her first rodeo. Avoid doing the pick-me dance. Google it. You won't win. And get your head in a place where you can see and interpret things clearly. Example, she wants to make our marriage work actually means she wants you to keep paying the bills. One thing for certain, OP, your life is now changed. It cannot go back to how it was before. You will never, ever be able to look into her eyes ever again and see anything even remotely resembling innocence. Never. And that alone will suck the very life out of you and your marriage. You should also disabuse yourself of the idea at her suggestion that the baby's father is some random on's character. It almost certainly won't be. It will be her aunt. Someone that you know by name. They will have agreed to have a child together so that they can bask in the shared glory of the realization of their dream. To have a family together. Lots of knowing glances, inside jokes, snatched holding of hands, all at your expense. Try to work on yourself. Don't take to the bottle. It won't solve anything. Good luck. Alright, here's the thing. Even if you choose to reconcile and be with her moving forward, which I believe is a foolish thing to do, you still need to get a divorce. I'll tell you why. The US tends to be incredibly biased towards mothers. I don't know where you're from, but if you are married when she gives birth, plenty of places will automatically put your name on the birth certificate, and you'll be paying child support for a kid that isn't yours in the event things don't work out. Healing from cheating takes a long time. You possibly won't fully know what you want for a long time. It could take you a year to fully process it and decide you need to move on. By then, it could be too late. Getting your name removed from a child's birth certificate is a long, hard, and incredibly expensive process. Putting your name on the birth certificate is not nearly as hard. The government wants a name of a birth certificate. It will allow for the government to come find you in the event the mother needs government support. Protect yourself. Get the divorce. You can reconcile once you're protected and not in danger of paying for another man's child for 18 years. If you want to continue down this path with your wife, Give her the ultimatum that she must grant you a divorce, so she will be single when she delivers. You do not want paperwork tying you to a child that isn't yours. You can't guarantee she won't cheat again. And you can't guarantee you won't want to be with her in 2 years. It took me almost 7 years to finally recognize that my ex's cheating caused me to lose my respect, faith, and love for them. Don't make a stupid decision without a plan of action if it fails. This is your marriage's worst nightmare. Do not raise some other man's baby at all. At least she didn't lie about that part. She admits up front you aren't the father that saves you from paternity fraud. And she wants to make our marriage work. She's not keeping up with events. Your marriage already doesn't work. You're not in a marriage. She destroyed your marriage by making the decision to sleep with strangers without consulting her husband. She destroyed her family, ruined her role as a mother, and lost the respect and trust of her partner forever. That's no marriage. You know you didn't reveal a lot of information in your post. What events led to her sleeping with this man? Why did she have sex with a so-called stranger without even thinking of safe sex? Does she even have an opinion about exposing you to a host of potentially life-threatening STDs? Why wasn't that even important to her? Don't accept I was drunk, or I don't know. That's not an excuse and that's not an answer. It's deflection. Did this happen out of town? In your town? Where were they when they had intercourse? A hotel? A car? The back room of the bar? I have a working theory and want to see what you think about it. I just don't believe she could have been this stupid. I think she's aware of who the app is and the affair is ongoing. I think she doesn't want to expose her app to risk of exposure and is protecting him. She thinks you will be the papa bird that raises a cuckoo while she goes out and flirts around with her app. Oh, you think that is far-fetched, do you? Put it to the test. Hire a licensed polygraph operator to ask her 3 questions. See what happens. 1. Have you ever had an extramarital affair of any sort? Emotional texting, flirting, sexting, prolonged emotional contact or physical intercourse, oral, anal, vaginal with anyone during the course of our marriage? To the man you say you allegedly slept with one time and became pregnant by him, did you know him before the date you say you met him? 3. Did you have recurring sexual contact with the man you say you slept with one time? To put it plainly, did you see him multiple times and have sexual contact with him? It might prove something. It might prove nothing. The science is spotty. Yet, a polygraph will make a guilty person nervous and ready to reveal all kinds of hidden truths. Or, and hear me out here, you might just go see a lawyer and file papers. You don't know it's another man's baby, and it might behoove you to schedule an in vitro DNA test first and await official results. If the official proof signed by a licensed physician indicates you are not the father, present that to your attorney. That should keep your name off the birth certificate at least. Really? This is a huge ask normally, but certain men can parent other men's children. I think it's a horrible idea. The child is blameless here. She is an innocent who had nothing to do with their parents' adultery choices. Yet, even so, children conceived like this are often the target of resentment and hate, not just from a betrayed spouse, but also the half-siblings of the child. The baby is the embodiment of everything that ruined their family in their eyes. That's a hard stigma to break. I know you are getting lots of practical advice. Get STD checks. Separate your money. File for in vitro DNA testing and get your allegedly biological children tested. Make sure she knows you are doing this. See a lawyer right away and explain the circumstances. You need to practical and ferocious right now. You've been wronged, but you'll have to act fast to keep your wife's decision from destroying your life. Time is a wasting. All the stuff people are saying do immediately. Well, they are not wrong. Even if it's repetitious. Lastly, no. Just my .02. There would be no coming back from this for me. It's just too much to forgive. Too awful a thing for her to do to you. Adultery is a form of abuse that hurts you far longer and far more painfully than physical abuse. It changes your life. The way you looked at her. The way you look at your family. Forever. Things won't go back to normal ever again. Thanks, dear. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing for more videos.